Welcome to a Programming Languages virtual meetup pre-recording. My name is Connor Hoekstra, and in this video, we're going to be covering Chapter 5.2 of the Structure and Interpretation of Computer Programs. The table of contents for this chapter section is as follows. It's entitled A Register Machine Simulator, and it has four subsections: 5.2.1, the machine model; 5.2.2, the assembler; 5.2.3, generating execution procedures for instructions; and 5.2.4, monitoring machine performance. This chapter section is very similar to the chapter sections in chapter 4, where it presents you a ton of code. It's roughly, I believe, 400 lines of code that builds up a Lisp assembly machine to run some of the examples that were presented to us in the previous chapter section 5.1. So we're not going to look at all the code. We're going to look at a lot of it, though, and we're going to work on some exercises that are running some of the examples from the previous chapter section, and then also making modifications to the code that is presented in the textbook. So let's hop into things. The start of this chapter section reads, in order to gain a good understanding of the design of register machines, we must test the machines we design to see if they perform as expected. One way to test a design is to hand simulate the operation of the controller, as in exercise 5.5 from the previous chapter section. But this is extremely tedious, which is why I did not assign any homework from the last chapter section for all but the simplest machines. In this section, we construct a simulator for machines described in the register machine language, a simulator in a scheme program for four interface procedures. Or the simulator is a scheme program with four interface procedures. The first uses a description of a register machine to construct a model of the machine, a data structure whose parts correspond to the parts of the machine to be simulated, and the other three allow us to simulate the machine by manipulating the model. So then it gives us an example of how we can basically make a machine with a procedure called makeMachine that takes three arguments: register names, operations, and controller. And this constructs and returns a model of the machine with the given registers, operations, and controller. And on the next slide, we have basically an example from the previous chapter section that's showing us how can we construct a machine that corresponds to the GCD assembly code that we saw, and that corresponds to the data path visualization / controller visualization that we saw in chapter section 5.1. So we can see here we're basically just defining GCD machine and then calling the procedure make machine, and then it has three arguments: the registers, the controller, and then the list of operations. So basically we just have the remainder operation and a test for equality, where we're checking if the value in register A is equal to 0. And with this, we hop into the first subsection, 5.2.1, the machine model. So the first procedure we're going to look at is the make machine procedure that we saw being used in the previous slides. Once again, this procedure takes three arguments: register names, ops, and controller text. And there's a few things to note that this procedure is doing. We're defining a local machine, which is going to be initialized by invoking the make new machine procedure. Then for each register, we're going to be calling a dispatch sort of method, which we're going to see later, passing it the allocate register tag here. And we're going to be doing that for each register. And then we're going to do something similar for both the ops and the controller text. So for ops, we're going to be using the tag to install operations. And for the controller text, we're going to be bundling that with machine, and then passing that to assemble, and then passing the result of that to the result of the dispatch with the tag install instruction sequence. Moving on to the next slide, this is the make register. So we're not going to hop into too much detail here, but basically this is just setting up a register. So for the T, A, and B of the GCD example, this is going to get invoked for each one of those. And you can see we're just setting up sort of a dispatch, internal dispatch here, so that we have get and set. And then otherwise, basically, you don't know what to do. So those are the only two operations that you're going to be able to perform on a register, which makes sense based on what we've learned about registers so far. And then at the bottom, we just have some convenience methods for getting the contents and setting the contents of a given register. Moving on to the next slide here, we have the procedure make stack. So in our sort of Lisp assembly machine, we're going to have a stack to keep track of things. And this is pretty straightforward. You'll recognize sort of the pop, the push, and the initialize methods, and then some convenience methods at the bottom here. We don't need to hop into this too much because hopefully most of the watchers are familiar with the stack data structure. And this is the make new machine that was called, the procedure make new machine that was called in initializing the local machine in our make machine procedure, which was the first procedure we looked at. And a bunch of interesting stuff to note here. So we have some registers that are being set up. So these ones are set up for every machine that you create. PC, which stands for program counter, and flag. And then we're initializing a stack. And then we also have an instruction sequence that is initialized just to be an empty list. And then inside the second let expression, you can see that we are initializing our stack, and then we're also setting up something called a register table, which is just going to be currently the list of the program counter and the flag, but assumably we are going to add the other registers to this. And yeah, that's all we're going to say about this make new machine procedure. Lookup register, this is basically going to be called whenever you're trying to find a register. The key thing here is that this is making use of the ASOC function in Lisp / the SICP language that we're using here. This is basically just a find method. I believe it stands for associative or associate. And this is the dispatch procedure that I mentioned when we were looking at the make machine procedure. So here we can see all of the dispatching taking place based on the tag. So we previously saw the install instruction sequence, the allocate register, and I believe the install operations, but we can also see get register here and start and stack and operations as well. And on the final slide here of section 5.2.1 are just some convenience functions. So we have a start machine for calling the machine with the start tag, and a couple other get register contents, set register contents, and get register where you pass the machine and the register name. So this brings us to 5.2.2, the assembler, and we are just going to continue looking at code here. So here we are defining a procedure called assemble, which takes the controller text. So this is the text of all the different labels and the instructions and a given machine. And you can see here we're extracting the labels from our controller text. So we only, I believe, had the two labels in our GCD. That was the test B and the done. But in later examples, we're going to see controller texts that involve more labels. I believe that's the second exercise we'll be looking at. And then we also are, we're passing controller text to this, and then also this lambda here, which is updating each of our instructions by calling this update instructions bang. Here is the extract labels procedure that we just saw. And basically what this is doing is this is just traversing down our controller text and extracting all of the labels that exist in our controller text. Exercise 5.8 states the following register machine code is ambiguous because the label here is defined more than once. So you can see here we have 4 labels, 3 unique labels. So we have start, here, here, and there. In the first here, we're assigning the constant 3 to the register A. In the second here, we're assigning the constant 4 to register A. With the simulator as written, what will the contents of register A be when the control reaches there? Modify the extract labels procedures so that the assembler will signal an error if the same label name is used to indicate 2 different locations. So obviously for a register machine / controller text, we don't want there to be any ambiguity between where the go-to is going to send you when given a label. So when we have start here and it says go to label here, it's not clear. Should we go to the first here or should we go to the second here? So now based on the way that the program is, or the Lisp assembly machine is written, we're going to end up at the first one. But the question is asking us to verify this and then also modify the extract labels such that it errors out. So if we encode this controller text, so this register machine, and then use our make machine, basically we only have one register A, and we only really need one procedure, and that's print, so that we can print out just to verify what here prints, or what the register A value is going to be by the time we get to the label there. And then we basically just copy and paste the register machine that we just saw. So we have start here, here, and there, and then the listified, I guess they were already in lists, instructions for each of these labels. And sure enough, if we run start exercise 5.8, it will output 3. So this is the extract labels that we had before. You note that I have the hyphen before here, and hyphen after is the modified version. So if I highlight to the inserted code, basically all it is here. So at the point in time where we have gotten a label that is sort of identified by the next instruction car text, if we just add this if ASOC next instruction in the labels, so if we just check, is the label that we're currently at, does it exist in the future labels, then we just error. So repeated label, and then you just output next inst. Otherwise, you just carry on as before. So pretty straightforward of how to modify this extract labels procedure such that it errors out. And then the next time we try and call make machine with that controller text, it's just going to give us an error. So that takes us to section or subsection 5.2.3, generating execution procedures for instructions. And so once again, we are back to code. And this procedure, make execution procedure, is basically just a huge conditional expression that is doing dispatch for each of our types of instructions. So we have here assign, test, branch, go to, save, restore, and perform. We're only going to look at the corresponding make assign procedure that is dispatched to when you have the assign tag. But I encourage you to go through the text and read each of the like make text, make branch, etc. for each of the tags. But this is the make assign procedure. So you can see here, basically, we're taking an instruction, machine, labels, operation, and program counter. And we have some values being assigned to in our let expression. Here we have target, which is basically getting us the register that we want to assign to. And then we have the value that we are extracting from our instruction that we want to assign to this target. And then we have an inner let expression that is basically saying, for the value expression, is it an operation or is it a primitive? If it's an operation, well, then we need to go and perform that operations. So similar in the GCD example, when we have to perform the remainder, in that case, we'd be going down the consequent of this if expression. Otherwise, we can just take the value and assign it directly to that register. And once we've done that, we're going to call set contents with the value proc that's been calculated from the previous let expression and the target, which is the target register. And then after we've done that, we need to advance the program counter. So pretty straightforward. And with that, this takes us to exercise 5.13, which reads, modify the simulator so that it uses the controller sequence to determine what registers the machine has, rather than requiring a list of registers as an argument to make machine. Instead of pre-allocating the registers in the make machine, you can allocate them one at a time when they are first seen during assembly of the instructions. So I'm not sure I solved the latter half of this question. The main part that I wanted to solve was basically getting rid of the register names argument. So here is our original make machine, and I've labeled it before because it takes the register names, ops, and controller text. But the question is basically stating that in our machines or controller texts, we can infer what the name of the registers are. The A, B, and T from the GCD example exist in our controller text, and they're tagged by the assign sort of tag. So we can go through and basically extract these from controller text and then remove the need to explicitly specify these. So the way to do that is the following: remove register names, and then create a new make machine after, which no longer has the register names. It just has ops and controller text. And then we need a get register names procedure that basically does the following. It filters out all of the instructions from our controller text. And the way you do that is just by checking, is it a list? And if so, is the first element of that list equal to assign? So filter those out from controller text, and then map catter, which is basically the second element of these assign sub-expressions, and that is going to be the name of each of the registers. So once we do that, we just need to put that inside basically our let expression of our make machine, our new make machine, and then instead of passing in register names, you just assign register names by the result of this expression. And if you do that, it should work. So I tested this with the GCD example, so I named it GCD machine 2, and basically here, instead of using make machine, we're using make machine after and just commenting out ABT. And sure enough, if you run the tests that are in the textbook, you're going to get the exact same result as before. So I believe I actually changed the values to 30 and 42 because those were the values that we used in our previous pre-recording of 5.1. And last but not least, moving on to the final subsection of this textbook, or of this chapter section, 5.2.4, monitoring machine performance. Here, we're going to skip straight to an exercise. Basically, this was probably the most interesting chapter subsection. Unfortunately, all of the interestingness is in the exercises. So that's why we're going to skip to one of the exercises. I encourage you to do some of the other ones because they're quite fascinating, but we're only going to cover one here. And that is the following. Exercise 5.16, augment the simulator to provide for instruction tracing. That is, before each instruction is executed, the simulator should print the text of the instruction. Make the machine model accept trace on or trace off messages to turn tracing on or off. Now, so the actual programming of this exercise is not very interesting. You're basically just going and inserting a bunch of code to print out, I was here, I was here, I was here for tracing. It's pretty straightforward. So I actually didn't do this. I just went and got the solution for this and installed it in sort of my Dr. Racket, and then ran the GCD machine. So I turned, trace on instruction for GCD machine. And then I ran it to get the following output. And what I thought would be interesting to sort of close off this pre-recording would be sort of to walk through the exact same example that we showed in the previous pre-recording of 5.1 and show how it's basically just walking us through what I already walked you through previously. So if we slide this to the right and bring up our data path visualization from chapter 5.1, and basically put our values 42 and 30 in, we can walk through this and see that the walking through of the data path visualization exactly maps to sort of the tracing of our Lisp assembly machine execution of GCD procedure, which we would expect. So here we start off by checking, does 0 equal the value of register B? That's currently 30, so obviously that's false. So we're gonna skip the branch and then go to assign T, which is going to perform the remainder operation, and it's gonna get the values from register A and B in order to perform that operation. Then it's going to assign the value of register B, or the value of register B to register A. Then it's going to assign the value of register T to register B. And then we're back to our test. So we're going to test, does the value at register B equal 0? Once again, this is false. So we're going to repeat. So we'll do this one more time, and then we'll just skip to the end. So once again, performing the remainder operation, then assigning to register A the contents of register B, then T goes to B, then we're back to our test, and then we can just skip the rest because it's basically, we've seen this all, and we're done. So neat to see that this sort of tracing technique it makes it very easily to map the visualization that we walked through from the previous pre-recording in terms of what actually the GCD evaluation in the Lisp assembly machine is doing. And with that, we're just going to cover a couple slides from the Structure and Interpretation of Computer Programs MIT lecture. Once again, I'm not sure what it is about Chapter 5, but these lectures are by far the best. This is Hal Abelson, Dr. Hal Abelson, starting off with this like wizard hat. And he sort of gives a high-level summary of all the different languages. So there was the Escher picture language that we saw way back in Chapter 1, then the digital logic language, then the query language, and those were all built on top of Lisp. And then he talks about how in Chapter 4, the first part of that, Chapter 4.1, we worked on the metacircular evaluator, which is sort of a Lisp implemented in Lisp, and that how now we're in Chapter 5, we are talking about how is Lisp implemented, on the metal actually. Well, I guess not really in the metal because we're still doing it in the sort of Lisp dialect, but it's a good sort of proxy for how assembly is actually works. Then they go on to show this picture of sort of the relationship between data paths, the stack, and the controller. And then there's this photo that they have of Dr. Abelson and Dr. Sussman both wearing their two different wizard hats. And I'm not sure, I guess I didn't have it, but at one point in the lecture, they are actually both teaching, and Abelson is directing Sussman and Sussman is pretending to be this little robotic character that's controlling the program counter and instruction evaluation. Anyways, it's very entertaining. I highly recommend, similar to the lecture that corresponded to 5.1, the lecture for 5.2 is very, very entertaining. I highly recommend everyone goes watch it. With that, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something. We're getting close to the end. We've got, I think, only 3 videos left, or pre-recordings left. So hang in there. We're almost done, and I will see you next week.